Have you ever noticed how the mind and faith seem to speak two completely different languages? The mind wants proof. Faith wants trust. The mind wants control. Faith wants surrender. The mind whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith answers, "It will, because God promised." And somewhere between these two voices, your battle begins. That invisible place between believing and doubting is where everything inside you is tested. No one sees this war, but it shapes everything you live, everything you feel, everything you decide. Jesus understood this more deeply than anyone. He saw people losing battles, not because of outside enemies, but because of the thoughts they allowed inside. That's why he spoke the way he did when he said, "Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, nor about your body, what you will wear." Matthew 6:25. Jesus knew anxiety is the scream of a mind that struggles to trust. It is faith trying to breathe beneath the weight of fear. And what he was truly saying was this: you don't need to understand everything. You just need to trust the one who does. But maybe you felt the tension on your own skin. Maybe you've prayed with tears burning in your eyes, declaring trust, even while something deep inside whispered, "But what if it's not enough?" Maybe you've watched doors close and thought, "Has God forgotten me?" Perhaps you've wrestled with the same conflict many people face. Your heart asks for faith, but your mind keeps calculating. You try to understand, to predict, to solve, to make sense of things that only God can explain. And it's in that moment, when your mind becomes louder than your faith, that many people give up. Because they believe faith is supposed to eliminate the conflict. But the truth is the opposite. Faith grows inside the conflict. Faith is not the absence of doubt. Faith is the decision to trust despite it. Faith is not the enemy of the mind. Faith is the authority over it. Faith is not a constant feeling. It is a daily choice. And Jesus revealed this with Peter on the water. Peter had enough faith to step out of the boat, but when he looked at the wind, the mind shouted louder than the faith. And Jesus lifted him, saying, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:31. Jesus didn't condemn Peter. He didn't shame him. He simply reminded him where he had fallen. From trust, Peter didn't sink because he was weak. Peter sank because he was distracted. Because the mind is quick to show you everything that might go wrong, while faith is the quiet voice that reminds you that God never fails. And maybe this is exactly where you are right now. Maybe you feel like you're in the middle of a deep ocean. Maybe the winds of circumstance are shouting. Maybe the waves of uncertainty are pushing against you. Your mind says you're not going to make it. But Jesus is still repeating the same invitation he gave Peter. Come. Matthew 14:29. The voice of faith always calls you out of the safe zone. The mind wants to keep you inside the boat, where life is predictable. But faith wants to lead you to walk on what others sink in. And here is what you must understand. The mind seeks logic. Faith seeks direction. Logic wants to see to believe. Faith believes to see. The mind wants comfort. Faith wants purpose. And what God is teaching you is simple. This inner war is not to defeat you. It is to shape you. It is to refine you. It is to prepare you. Because when the mind begins to bow to faith, something shifts inside you. You stop reacting and begin resting. You stop forcing and begin flowing. You stop panicking and begin surrendering. You stop fighting for control and begin trusting the one who already holds the outcome. You begin to understand that God's timing is not delay, it is preparation. Jesus revealed this truth again in John 20:29. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. He was saying, real faith does not wait for evidence. Real faith creates the evidence. And maybe you're waiting for a miracle to believe. But heaven is waiting for your belief to release the miracle. Faith is the seed that activates the movement of God. And I want you to stay with me until the end of this message, because today we are going to pray together. But this prayer is different. It's not a prayer to ask for something. It's a prayer to align your mind with your faith. Because sometimes your miracle doesn't depend on God moving. It depends on you stopping the resistance. When the mind aligns with faith, the impossible becomes natural. So stay with me, because this may be the prayer that changes how you live, how you think, and how you believe. Now imagine what Jesus saw when he looked at the disciples in the storm. They were terrified. They saw danger. They saw death. But Jesus slept, not because he didn't care, but because he knew who was in control. Faith rests where the mind panics. And this is what he teaches you today. When you truly trust God, you don't fear what the wind is announcing. But the mind doesn't accept silence. It wants to act, solve, analyze, debate. And it is in that internal noise that you lose the voice of faith. Faith speaks softly, but once you learn to recognize it, it guides you with precision. This is why God sometimes leads you into deserts, not to punish you, but to silence you. Because only in the silence of the mind does the heart hear faith again. Remember the words of the psalmist. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. To be still is not to give up. To be still is to trust without interfering. To be still is to understand that while you pray, God works. While you rest, He moves the things you cannot touch. But when the mind doesn't understand, it begins to accuse you. It says you're not doing enough. It says you should try harder. It says you should feel differently. And it is this inner confusion that exhausts so many souls. But Jesus calls you to a different kind of movement, the movement of faith. Faith does not rush. Faith advances. Faith does not scream. Faith declares. Faith does not demand. Faith surrenders. And it is in surrender that the mind finally bows. It is in surrender that reason kneels before promise. It is in surrender that you learn to say, Lord, I don't need to understand. I just need to remain. It is in this place that the supernatural begins. Let's take an example. Abraham. He walked away from everything familiar, not knowing where he was going. His mind must have been shouting, "This makes no sense." But his faith whispered, "Go, because God said so." And while he walked, God revealed. Hebrews 11:8 says, "By faith Abraham obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going." This is the nature of true faith. Faith walks before it sees the map. Faith steps before it understands the path. But when the mind takes control, the feet stop moving. When faith takes control, the impossible becomes a road. Maybe what is holding you back is not a lack of faith, but an excess of mind. You believe, but you overthink. You trust, but you compare. You hope, but you doubt in equal measure. And Jesus is whispering to you now, let me be the center. The mind raises questions. Only faith raises peace. And peace is the sign that you are aligned with heaven. If your mind is tired, confused, anxious, or overwhelmed, this message is for you. Jesus wants to teach you what He lived, the perfect balance between thinking and believing. He never eliminated the mind, but He placed it under the authority of faith. And that is what you will learn to do from today forward. Because when the mind and faith finally unite, the impossible becomes inevitable. The miracle is not what God does, it is what He reveals in you while He does it. And that revelation begins now. You may not realize it yet, but every spiritual transformation begins the same way. Not with a miracle, not with a sign, not with a supernatural event, but with a sudden awareness that something inside you is shifting. Like the soft crack in the surface of a shell before new life emerges. Like the quiet tremor in the ground before a mountain splits and a river is born. It never starts loudly. It starts with a whisper that says, there is more. More than what your eyes have seen, more than what your mind has calculated, more than what your fears have predicted, more than what your history has allowed you to believe. This whisper is not the voice of the mind, it is the seed of faith stirring. And the moment you hear that whisper, the war begins again. The mind begins to question it, the heart begins to feel it, the spirit begins to respond to it. You feel the push and pull between what you know and what you hope, between what you fear and what you sense, between the human and the holy. The truth is simple, but rarely spoken. Spiritual growth is not peaceful at first. It is disruptive, because before God brings clarity, He brings movement. Before He brings order, He brings shaking. Before He brings revelation, He brings confrontation, not with people, not with the world, but with the thoughts you've allowed to shape you. And if you are reading or listening to this now, it is because you have reached the sacred crossroads where the mind and faith meet, the place where destiny is chosen. That's why this moment matters, not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you is waking up. This is what Jesus always saw in people before anyone else noticed. He saw the battle happening behind their eyes, the conflict between what they were taught to believe and what heaven was trying to reveal. He saw the storms of doubt beneath their calm expressions. He saw the questions they never voiced, the fears they tried to hide, the tension between I believe and I'm not sure. And He responded not with condemnation, but with invitation. Come. One word, one doorway, one decision. It's the same word He spoke to Peter, the same word that echoes through eternity, the same word that is being spoken to you right now. But before we get there, we need to build a foundation, because what comes next in your life will demand more faith than what came before. And for your faith to grow, your mind must surrender to a new way of seeing. To understand this, let's dig deeper, not into theology, but into the human experience Jesus understood so well. The inner war. Why your mind fights your faith. Your mind is not your enemy, but it can become the loudest enemy of your faith. Scientists say the mind is constantly predicting danger, replaying past pain, analyzing scenarios, and building protection systems. That's what it does. It tries to keep you safe. But faith is not about safety. Faith is about surrender. And surrender seems like a threat to the mind. So the mind analyzes while the spirit listens. The mind fears while the heart hopes. The mind builds walls while God builds doors. The reason you feel torn is not because you are weak, it's because you are human. Jesus understood this better than anyone. That's why He spent so much time not just healing bodies, but healing beliefs. But here is the part most people never realize. Faith was never meant to silence the mind. Faith was meant to lead it. The mind is a tool, not a throne. Faith is a compass, not a feeling. And when faith leads, the mind is not destroyed. It is renewed. This is why Paul wrote, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." He didn't say remove the mind, but renew it. The war you feel happening inside you is not something to fear. It is the evidence that God is reshaping you from the inside out. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. When Jesus called people, He always called their minds first. Think about it. Before he calmed storms, he calmed thoughts. Before he cast out demons, he uprooted lies. Before he restored bodies, he restored identity. Before he resurrected Lazarus, he resurrected Martha's faith. Everything starts with the mind. So if your thoughts have been loud, chaotic, heavy, confusing, don't assume God is far away. Often the loudest mental storm comes right before the greatest spiritual breakthrough. Not because God is making things harder, but because he is calling your faith higher. Just like Peter, just like Martha, just like you. Faith does not grow in comfort. It grows in contradiction. The language of the mind versus the language of faith. The mind speaks through logic. Show me the details. Faith speaks through obedience. Follow the voice. The mind says, what if it goes wrong? Faith says, what if God is right? The mind says, you need control. Faith says, God is in control. The mind says, you're not ready. Faith says, you're appointed. The mind looks at the wind. Faith looks at Jesus. And here's the revelation many people never reach. Faith is not fighting the mind. It is leading it into truth. Faith is not irrational. It is supra-rational, above logic, not against it. It sees what logic can't see. It believes what logic can't measure. It knows what logic can't predict. Faith is the language of heaven. And right now, heaven is speaking to you. The silence that shapes you. You've noticed it. The seasons where God seems quiet, where answers don't come quickly, where the voice of heaven seems softer than the noise of life. But silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. God doesn't speak to overwhelm your mind. He speaks to strengthen your spirit. That's why the greatest revelations often come in wilderness seasons, quiet nights, moments of stillness. God speaks most clearly when everything else stops speaking. It's not punishment. It's preparation. He is not leaving you alone. He is teaching you to hear him. The mind panics in silence. Faith grows in silence because silence removes distractions and reveals direction. The revelation Jesus wanted every disciple to understand. Jesus always taught this truth. Faith hears what fear cannot. Fear hears the wind. Faith hears the voice. Fear sees the storm. Faith sees the Savior. Fear interprets the moment. Faith interprets the promise. Fear looks around. Faith looks up. That's why he often asked his disciples, "Why are you afraid? Where is your faith? Do you still not believe?" Not because they were weak, but because they were listening to the wrong voice, just like we often do. Fear is loud. Faith is steady. Fear screams. Faith whispers. But the whisper is stronger than the scream, because faith speaks with the authority of heaven. The real miracle is not around you. It's within you. Before God parts seas in your life, he parts thoughts in your mind. Before he moves mountains, he moves beliefs. Before he changes your situation, he changes your perspective. This is why Jesus asked people questions before he performed miracles. What do you want? Do you believe I can do this? Why did you doubt? Who do you say that I am? He wasn't collecting information. He was transforming revelation. Your mind must shift before your life can. And you are shifting right now. That's why you feel this stirring. That's why your heart recognizes these words as truth, because heaven is opening something inside you and your spirit knows it. Your battle is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of destiny. The hardest seasons are often the holiest, not because they feel good,
but because they form you. The pressure you feel is not a burial, it is a planting. Faith grows best in the soil of uncertainty. You're not losing control, you're losing the illusion of control. You're not falling apart, you're falling into alignment. You're not being shaken to break, you're being shaken to awaken. God is not trying to weaken you, He is trying to deepen you. And when He deepens you, He elevates you. There comes a moment in every journey with God when the heart reaches a quiet decision. Not an emotional one, not a desperate one, not a dramatic one, a deeper one, a sacred one. A moment where the soul whispers, I surrender. Not with defeat, but with trust. Not with fear, but with faith. Not with exhaustion, but with revelation. It is the moment the mind bows and the spirit rises. The moment Jesus becomes more than a belief, He becomes your anchor. That moment is where miracles begin. Not when the problem changes, when your posture changes. This is happening inside you right now. The call that never changes. Jesus is still saying the same word He said to Peter. Come. He doesn't say, understand first. Calculate the risk. Predict the outcome. He says, step, trust, move, believe. Peter walked on the water not because the water changed, but because his focus changed. And that is what God is doing right now, changing your focus. He is inviting you into a faith that walks, not waits, a faith that obeys, not hesitates, a faith that listens, not argues, a faith that moves mountains because it moves you first. The prayer you didn't know you needed. This is not the final prayer. That comes later. But this is a preparation prayer, a positioning prayer, a realignment prayer. If you can, whisper this in your heart now. Lord, shift my focus from fear to faith. Because everything God is about to do in your life will begin with that shift. Not in your situation, in your sight. Not in your world, in your mind. Not in others, in you. But before you move forward, pause for a moment and look inside yourself. There is a place in your soul, maybe small, maybe almost silent, that still believes. It's the place that survived every storm, the place that held on when everything else fell apart, the place that refused to let go even when your emotions tried to surrender. That place is where faith lives. Even when your mind doubts, even when your heart breaks, even when your strength fades, there is always a spark inside you that refuses to die. Because real faith was never born in comfort. Real faith is forged in fire. And whether you notice it or not, every trial you survived made your faith stronger than before. You didn't break. You didn't collapse. You didn't disappear. You are here, still standing, still seeking, still hungry for God. And that alone is the evidence that heaven has not left you. Your battle is not a sign of abandonment. Your battle is a sign of calling. Because God doesn't train those He is not preparing. He doesn't refine those He is not choosing. He doesn't stretch those He is not planning to elevate. What you call pressure, heaven calls preparation. And the reason your battles feel heavier than others is because your purpose is bigger than you imagine. People with small assignments experience small storms. People with divine assignments experience divine pressure. Because to carry something great, the vessel must be strengthened. This is why some seasons of your life felt like too much, too heavy, too painful, too confusing. Not because you were weak, but because God was stretching your capacity. There are prayers you prayed that God answered not with a miracle, but with growth. You asked for strength. He allowed the battle. You asked for clarity. He allowed the confusion that pushed you deeper. You asked for purpose. He allowed the process. The process is never comfortable, but it is always necessary. If God gave you what you asked for without preparing you, the blessing would crush you. So He prepares you first, not to deny you, but to protect you. This is why the waiting has been so long. This is why the doors didn't open when you expected.
This is why you felt stuck, even while praying faithfully. Because God wasn't delaying, He was developing. And heaven develops silently. Think about a seed. The moment you plant it, nothing seems to happen. You return the next day, still nothing. A week later, still nothing. But under the soil, in the darkness, where eyes cannot see, something is breaking, shifting, transforming. The seed is becoming a future, and before it breaks the surface, it must break itself. God allows you to go through invisible battles because He is restructuring you internally. He is giving you roots before He gives you branches, stability before visibility, foundation before elevation. And that's what Jesus always did with His disciples. He prepared them privately before He used them publicly. For 3 years He walked with them, corrected them, taught them, stretched them, sharpened them. Why? Because the mission was too great to place in unprepared hands. And you are going through the same process. God is forming you quietly because He plans to reveal you loudly. Your purpose will speak. Your testimony will speak. Your transformation will speak. Your endurance will speak. Your faith will speak. And those who once doubted you will witness what God builds in silence. But there is something deeper. Every time your faith rises, the enemy intensifies the attack. Not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous. Weak believers don't intimidate hell. But a believer who refuses to quit, a believer who worships while hurting, a believer who rises after every fall, a believer who prays even when discouraged, a believer who chooses faith when the mind screams fear, that kind of believer terrifies the enemy. And that's who you are becoming. Your attacks increased because your authority increased. Your warfare intensified because your destiny is closer than ever. You may not see it, but heaven is moving. You may not feel it, but God is aligning every detail. This is why Jesus said to Peter, "Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed for you." Imagine that. Jesus not only saw the attack, He permitted it because it would strengthen Peter, but He also interceded for him. And the same Jesus who prayed for Peter is praying for you. You are not fighting alone. You are not standing alone. You are not enduring alone. Heaven is backing you. The Spirit is strengthening you. Jesus is interceding for you. Angels are protecting you. Grace is covering you. If you knew what was happening in the spiritual realm around you, you would stop fearing what's happening in the physical realm. The attack is real, but the covering is greater. And the breakthrough will not be small. It will be something that marks your life. But before God brings the breakthrough, He brings alignment. Because blessings that are out of alignment become burdens. That's why God has been purifying your circle. Removing people who drain you, exposing intentions, separating you from environments that block your growth. You thought you were losing people, but heaven was removing weights. You thought the isolation was punishment, but it was protection. God heard conversations you didn't hear. God saw intentions you couldn't see. God protected you from betrayals before they happened. Some departures were not rejection, they were rescue. And one day you will thank God for every closed door that felt like heartbreak. Because the door that God opens will not be unstable. It will not harm you. It will not confuse you. It will fit you. It will lift you. It will grow you. It will heal you. It will glorify Him. But before that door opens, your faith must mature. Immature faith wants answers. Mature faith wants alignment. Immature faith says, "God, give me." Mature faith says, "God, shape me." And God will shape you until your character can carry your calling. Sometimes He shapes you through waiting. Sometimes He shapes you through disappointment. Sometimes He shapes you through silence. Sometimes He shapes you through unexpected change. But in every shaping, He is strengthening you. You will look back at this season and say, "It hurt, but it made me. It broke me, but it built me. It stretched me, but it prepared me."
It emptied me, but it elevated me. This is why James 1 verse 3 verse 4 says, "The testing of your faith produces perseverance. Without testing, faith remains theory. With testing, faith becomes proof." And God is turning your faith into evidence. Evidence that He is with you. Evidence that He sustains you. Evidence that He strengthens you. Evidence that He transforms you. Evidence that He finishes what He starts. Because the God who began the work in you is not done, will not stop, cannot fail. Your story will not end in defeat. Your breakthrough will not miss its timing. Your promise will not be taken from you.
God has already written the ending. Your job is to trust Him through the middle. And this middle, this season of uncertainty, this tension between mind and faith, this place where you are waiting but not seeing, this is the sacred space where God produces your greatest growth. And now that you are here, now that you've survived everything that tried to take you out, now that your faith is still alive even after everything, you are ready for the next part of your transformation. Because God is not only changing your life, He is changing you. And perhaps you haven't noticed it yet, but something inside you has already begun to change. Your perspective is shifting. Your sensitivity to God is increasing. Your discernment is sharpening. Your patience is maturing. Your spirit is awakening. You may still feel uncertain, but spiritually, you are becoming stronger than you've ever been. Because there is a moment in every believer's life when God transitions them from survival to purpose, from endurance to assignment, from waiting to walking. And that moment rarely comes with fireworks. It often comes quietly, like a soft shift inside your heart. You begin to feel detached from what once distracted you. You feel restless with what once satisfied you. You feel drawn to something deeper, even if you cannot describe it. This is not confusion. This is calling. God is pulling you into the next season of your life, into the next dimension of your faith, into the next chapter of the destiny He prepared for you long before you were born. Your spirit can sense what your mind cannot understand. This pull is real. This stirring is real. This shift is real. You're not imagining it, you're evolving. But here's the sacred truth. Every elevation begins with separation. Before God elevates someone, He often disconnects them. Not to punish, to transition. Think of Moses, separated from Egypt before becoming a leader. Think of Joseph, separated from his family before becoming a ruler. Think of David, separated from the crowd before being anointed king. Think of Jesus, led into the wilderness before beginning His ministry. Separation is the birthplace of revelation. There are certain things God cannot show you while you are surrounded by too much noise, too many opinions, too many influences, too many expectations. Isolation, when it's from God, is not loneliness. It's reorientation. It's God saying, I need your attention. I need your heart. I need your focus. I need your surrender. Because there are things He wants to reveal to you that require silence. There are things He wants to build in you that require solitude. There are things He wants to heal that require stillness. So if you felt alone lately, understand this. You are not being abandoned. You are being aligned. God is untangling you from what limits you so He can connect you to what grows you. And once the separation is complete, God begins the transformation. Transformation does not begin with behavior. It begins with identity. Because God cannot change your life until He changes how you see yourself. This is why so many people remain stuck. Not because God doesn't have a plan, but because they see themselves through their past rather than through His promise. You may not realize it, but your internal identity determines your external reality. If you believe you're broken, you live limited. If you believe you're unworthy, you live afraid. If you believe you're forgotten, you live discouraged.
If you believe you're behind, you live anxious. This is why Jesus constantly challenged people's identity, not their circumstances. He called Peter a rock when he was still unstable. He called Gideon a mighty warrior when he was hiding. He called Jeremiah a prophet when he felt unqualified. He called Abraham a father of nations when he had no children. God speaks to who you are becoming, not who you've been. Because heaven does not consult your past to define your future. And right now, God is doing the same with you. You see your flaws, He sees your formation. You see your failures, He sees your future. You see your weakness, He sees the weapon He's shaping you into. And the truth is this: God is not finished with you. God is not disappointed in you. God has not changed His mind about you. God has not withdrawn His calling from you. God has not canceled your purpose. The enemy wants you to believe that your mistakes disqualified you. But God specializes in using imperfect people to produce perfect plans. He used a stuttering Moses, a fearful Gideon, a broken Peter, an impulsive Paul, a rejected David, a doubtful Thomas, a grieving Mary, a sinful Samaritan woman. And He will use you too, because your imperfections are not obstacles for God. They are opportunities for His power. But there is something crucial you must understand. Your next season requires a renewed mind.
Not a perfect mind, not a super spiritual mind, a renewed mind. A mind that chooses faith over fear, trust over control, surrender over stress, purpose over panic, peace over pressure. This is why Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformation begins internally, long before it becomes visible externally. God is not just changing your surroundings, He is changing your thinking. Because the promises of God cannot live inside a mind ruled by fear. So He is renewing you, softly, slowly, deeply. He is removing old patterns, old beliefs, old insecurities, old fears, old lies, and replacing them with truth. The truth that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you are called, that you are protected, that you are guided, that you are seen, that you are covered, that you are forgiven, that you are strengthened, that you are set apart. These truths are the foundations of your next season. And the more your mind aligns with this truth, the more your life will align with God's will. Because you cannot receive what you do not believe. God wants to bless you, but you must believe you are a vessel that can carry the blessing. God wants to open doors, but you must believe you are someone who can walk through them. God wants to elevate you, but you must believe you are someone who can stand there. Faith doesn't make you arrogant. Faith makes you aligned. It says, if God called me, then I am qualified. If God assigned me, then I am prepared. If God chose me, then I am enough. This is the confidence heaven wants you to walk in. Not confidence in yourself, confidence in the one who works through you. Because when God partners with your purpose, nothing can stop what He designs. But here's the tension. Before God brings elevation, He brings exposure. Not exposure to embarrass you, exposure to purify you. He exposes wrong motives, wrong desires, wrong attachments, wrong priorities. He exposes wounds you hid, patterns you ignored, habits you normalized, and emotions you buried. Because anything unhealed becomes a weakness in the hands of the enemy. And God loves you too much to let you enter your next season with unresolved fractures. So the exposure you experienced was not punishment, it was protection. God wasn't trying to shame you,
He was trying to free you. He was saying, "This cannot go with you into the next season. Let me remove it before it becomes a burden later." And though the exposure felt painful, it was holy. Because God only reveals what He intends to heal. And after the exposure comes reconstruction. God begins rebuilding you from the inside out. Your beliefs, your values, your priorities, your standards, your perspectives. You begin to crave peace instead of noise, depth instead of distraction, purpose instead of validation, stillness instead of chaos, truth instead of attention, presence instead of applause. This shift is the evidence that God is preparing you for something greater, something you cannot see yet, something you may not feel ready for, something your old self could not have handled, something your renewed self will flourish in. And this next part is important. Many of the battles you are facing right now are not attacks, they are transitions. You're not being destroyed, you're being delivered from cycles, delivered from fears, delivered from patterns, delivered from old versions of you, delivered into the version God designed. Your spirit knows this, your heart is sensing it, your mind is catching up to it. You are closer to breakthrough than you think, closer to clarity than you feel, closer to purpose than you realize. And the tension you're feeling inside you is the stretching before the shift. You're not breaking, you're becoming. You're not lost, you're being led. You're not falling behind, you're being accelerated in ways you cannot yet perceive. And what comes next will make every tear worth it, every prayer meaningful, every storm purposeful, every waiting season powerful. Your story is not slowing down, it's about to unfold. Your promise is not distant, it's drawing near. Your faith is not weak, it's awakening. Your spirit is not tired, it's transitioning. You are stepping into a divine momentum, and once God sets it into motion, nothing and no one will be able to stop what He releases in your life. And now, you are beginning to feel it. Not fully, not clearly, but deeply. Something is opening. Something is shifting. Something is aligning. It's subtle like the first light of dawn before the sun becomes visible. You don't see the sun yet, but you know it's coming. That's exactly what is happening inside you. You may still feel uncertain on the surface, but beneath every doubt, there is a quiet confidence growing. A confidence that doesn't come from you. It comes from the God who has been shaping you in silence. What you are feeling is not anxiety. It's acceleration. It's the spiritual sensation that your spirit is stepping into a season your mind has not caught up with yet. And this is how God moves. Your spirit arrives first. Your mind understands later. Your circumstances align last. This delay between spiritual revelation and physical manifestation is what creates tension. And tension is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of transition. Every breakthrough begins with tension. Every miracle begins with pressure. Every new chapter begins with a holy discomfort because God never elevates you while you are comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of calling. And you no longer fit in the place where you used to survive. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something is growing inside you. You can't go back. You've already outgrown who you used to be. The old version of you survived, but the new version of you will thrive. The old version of you tolerated things. The new version of you won't even recognize them as part of your identity. The old version of you begged for clarity. The new version of you walks by faith. The old version of you reacted emotionally. The new version of you responds spiritually. The old version of you feared change. The new version of you is being led by change. This is transformation. Not sudden, not loud, not visible to everyone, but undeniable. And this is why the enemy fought you so aggressively in the last seasons. He wasn't attacking who you were. He was attacking who you were becoming. He saw the shift before you did. He noticed the awakening before you felt it. He recognized the calling before you embraced it. Spiritual warfare is not random. It is targeted. The enemy attacks where heaven is about to move. So if the last season felt intense, painful, draining, confusing, or overwhelming, it wasn't because God abandoned you. It's because the enemy knew something was shifting in your favor. And here's the part most people don't understand. Your attack was a prophecy. It was confirmation that something in the spiritual realm was being released over your life. The more violent the attack, the more valuable the assignment. The more painful the season, the more powerful the calling. The more confusing the transition, the more profound the transformation. This is not just another chapter in your life. This is a divine turning point. You're not just changing, you're being repositioned, reconstructed, refined, reanointed. God is not adjusting small details in your life. He is redefining your entire spiritual trajectory. And He's doing it intentionally because He's preparing you for what He's been preparing for you. The blessing is ready. The shift is ready. The door is ready. The season is ready. Now He is making you ready. And readiness doesn't begin with what you have. It begins with who you are becoming. He is giving you confidence that cannot be shaken, peace that cannot be stolen, faith that cannot be broken, discernment that cannot be manipulated, purpose that cannot be corrupted. This is why the old you is falling away so quickly. It's not depression, it's not exhaustion, it's not confusion. It is metamorphosis. The caterpillar does not understand what is happening inside the cocoon. It only feels the breaking, the dissolving, the stretching, the reshaping, the pressure. But what feels like destruction is actually construction. And once the transformation is complete, the creature that emerges is nothing like the one that entered it. That's you. You are emerging from a season of hidden transformation, and you will not look like the person who entered it. Your mindset has changed. Your heart has changed. Your identity has changed. Your desires have changed. Your priorities have changed. Your sensitivity to God has changed. Your position in the Spirit has changed. And soon, your environment will change. Because what God does inside of you eventually manifests around you. Internal transformation always precedes external elevation. But before God manifests the change externally, He aligns you internally. And that alignment is happening now. This is why you feel the urge to let go of certain things, even things you once relied on. This is why certain relationships feel disconnected, even if nothing happened. This is why certain habits feel uncomfortable, even though they were normal for years. This is why certain environments feel heavy, even if they used to feel familiar. You are transitioning spiritually, and the old world can no longer hold you. There are blessings waiting for you in places the old you could never enter. There are connections waiting for you with people the old you could never align with. There are opportunities waiting for you that the old you was not prepared to carry. This is why God is shifting everything now. He's not taking something from you. He's making space for what's next.
And what's next is bigger than what you prayed for, bigger than what you dreamed, bigger than what you imagined. But here's what you need to know. Great destiny requires great alignment. Great alignment
requires great surrender. Great surrender requires great trust. This is why God is asking you to trust Him. Not a little, not partially, but completely. Because fullness requires surrender. Overflow requires obedience. Purpose requires faith. And faith is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. You don't need to understand every detail. You don't need to see every step. You don't need to predict every outcome. You just need to trust the one who is leading you. God didn't bring you this far to leave you halfway. He didn't allow you to survive everything only to let you fall now. He didn't lift you out of the darkness just to let you wander. He didn't awaken your spirit just to let you remain the same. He is guiding you step by step, by moment, season by season. You are being carried by grace, strengthened by purpose, refined by fire, prepared by process. And soon, you will step into a manifestation that reveals why everything had to happen the way it did. You will look back and say, "Now I understand. Now I see. Now it makes sense. Now I know why God didn't let me quit." Your future is not far, it's forming. Your blessing is not delayed, it's developing. Your breakthrough is not denied, it's aligning. And the next part of your journey will be the proof that God was working even when you felt forgotten. There comes a moment when God takes everything that tried to destroy you and turns it into the greatest proof that He was always with you. And maybe this exact moment is that moment in your life. Because look, nothing you went through was wasted. Not a single tear fell by accident. Not a single closed door was a mistake. Everything you didn't understand was building you for the place where God wants to take you. You don't see it, but while you think you're standing still, God is moving you. While you think you're breaking, God is strengthening you. While you think you're being forgotten, God is revealing you. Because God doesn't work on the surface. God works in the deep. And that's why He touched areas you thought were resolved. He opened wounds you tried to hide. He removed people you insisted on keeping. He closed paths you kept trying to open. It wasn't rejection. It was protection. It wasn't delay. It was preparation. It wasn't loss. It was direction. And now, the alignment begins. Now, the turnaround begins. Now, what your eyes have not yet seen begins. Because when God decides to change a story, He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't need anyone's approval. He doesn't go back on His word. He simply does it. And that's what He's doing with you. Rewriting, rebuilding, restoring, raising you up. Life tried to knock you down, but God lifted you. Pain tried to silence you, but God reignited you. The enemy tried to shut your voice, but God gave it back to you. And now, I want you to receive this next sentence as confirmation for your soul. What's coming next will be greater than everything that has passed. This word is not a coincidence. This message didn't cross your path by accident. You were pulled here because God wanted you to hear this exact thing. You didn't reach the end. You reached the beginning. And before ending this part of the script, I want to ask you for something simple but powerful. If this message reached you, touched you, stirred something inside you, then write Amen in the comments. It's not just a comment, it's an act of faith, a spiritual declaration, a way of saying, I receive what God is doing in my life. And also, follow the channel. Because every day, I'm here sharing messages, reflections, and powerful words like this, not to entertain you, but to lift you, strengthen you, and remind you of what God has already declared over you. So comment Amen, follow the channel, share this word with someone you love, and get ready. Because God is still writing, and the best part of your story begins now.